quick basics of getting you started so you can start practicing however you want your journey to be, whether you just want to be able to do Halloween makeup for your kids or dressing up makeup, or whether you want to actually get into this and do this, make money, do parties, etc. So first little note that everything you see in this video is purchased with my own money. I will put comments in the description of everything I've used in the videos, as well as links to where to buy them from. Like I say, everything bought with my own money, no sponsorship, everything. Also, the other comment I would say is that everything is my opinion. This is not how you have to start. This is not by any means the be all and end all. It's just my opinion of some tips and tricks to get you going. So without further ado, in my opinion, to get you started without any fancy kit, let's just assume that you bought just some basic paints from Amazon or something, which I'll get onto in a moment. First point I would come to, something that you will definitely need, is decent sponges. High density sponges designed for face painting. I'm already marking this one because I've got face paint on when I tried to film this video before. Normal makeup sponges won't work. They're the wrong texture. They're more of a latex. Most of them are more of a latex or silicone type consistency. They won't do the same thing that you want. They won't give you the same results as one of these specific face painting high density sponges. When I get onto my Halloween makeup looks and some of my proper special effects looks, we do use makeup sponges, the latex ones, but for a different application. So anyway, you would get your high density sponges like this in one big round, but you don't keep them like that. To be honest, I don't know a single professional face painter that keeps them big like this. You might use them for body painting this size because obviously there's bigger surface area, you can get more paint, quicker to do it. But on the whole, what we tend to do, snip them in half, boom, you end up with half a sponge. It's a lot more easy to use. You've got different surfaces still. You've actually got more surfaces and different shapes and stuff. And obviously, your flat side is this long side here, and it's easier to handle that to put on the face than to try and do that like a powder puff. I personally have 3 different types of sponges in my kit. I have these ones that start off like these. I have these small barrel sponges that, I'll be honest, I don't know where I got them from, but they are really nifty and they're really handy. If I can find some like it, then I'll put a link in the description, because I really like them, because as you can see, they are a little bit smaller than these traditional sponges, which is useful if you've got tiny little faces. And then the petal sponges, which again, there'll be another video a bit later on in this how-to series of how to use these. So that's sponges. For the purposes of, in case anyone wants to get what I'm using in the video, these pink tips from the face painting shop are excellent. These are, you will see that I have, the lion's share of my kit is pink tips. And as and when I buy new brushes, it tends to be to buy pink tips. Again, not sponsored, just happens to be where I am in the UK, the best brushes to get. So there you go. So number 3 and number 4. Reason being, number 3 and number 4 round, might I point out, just because should you go to the face painting shop, there is also a Flora rounded 3, which I have here. And if you look, the number 3 round and the Flora rounded 3 are significantly different. So just to say, these are number 3 rounds, number 4 rounds. They obviously go all the way up to, goodness knows what, I don't know what I've, 4 is actually the biggest I have. I don't go any bigger than that. Just proves how versatile that is. You don't need to do, I've got 3 and a 4, and I do have a, is that a 1? Yes, and a 1. That's about and I've gone small. But I haven't needed to go any bigger than a 4, and to be honest, I very rarely use the number 1. So 2 brushes, a spritz bottle. This is just a basic clear bottle that I got in a set that came with a set for going on holiday on an aeroplane. Glitter is the other thing that is important. Should you decide to add glitter into your kit, obviously you don't have to start off with, but should you decide to, it must be cosmetic glitter. This is Stargazer. This is also from the face painting shop. I have an iridescent white and holographic silver. I've also got holographic gold that I think is a superstar glitter. Loose glitters this is. But yeah, it has to be cosmetic glitter, because you don't want to be using craft glitter on people's faces. It's chunkier, it's not milled as fine, so should any of the particles go in their eyes, it can do serious damage. So should you decide you want to go glitter, that's the way forward. It has to be cosmetic. Right, and of course paint. Now most of you will be familiar with this brand, Snazaroo. You'll see it in, I've seen it in Hobbycraft, I've seen it in Tesco's and Asda, the supermarkets, all over Amazon. In fact, I think my first kit came from Amazon. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly useful, perfectly good paint. It's a water-based paint, like all of them that I use here for my, when I get onto special effects, I do use some different types of paint, but I will explain that at the time. For my general day-to-day stuff, everything is a water-based paint. There's nothing wrong with Snazaroo whatsoever for getting you started. The only thing I would note is that the black and the white are not very strong in terms of covering other colours, which is why I have, I personally use DFX Black and DFX White. They're really strong colour, pigment colour payoff, so they can cover other colours. They can cover really strong bases and really strong paints. Snazaroo's black and white aren't really strong enough to cover other colours, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with Snazaroo. Snazaroo is a good brand. If you do start to venture into the realms of, for example, on the face painting shop, there are lots of brands. Superstar is one of my favourites for metallics and background colours. They're very, very, very soft paints, so if you are new to face painting, they might be a little bit over-facing, but colours, the pigment and the delicate balance that you get with the backgrounds, gorgeous. Diamond Effects, again, you can get Diamond Effects in lots of different colours. This is a metallic purple that I like for line work for butterflies and for my double dip flowers, which you'll see in the next video. And Global Body Art. This is probably the lion's share that I have in my kit. It is Global in terms of rainbow cakes and all sorts. Don't buy paint off of Amazon that's got an unknown name on it. Don't buy the funny little tubes of what looks like acrylic paint, and for goodness sake, don't use acrylic paint on people's faces. Anyway, so that's all the kit. Very quick, very blitz through. Like I said, I'll put everything in the description. So I'm going to show you how to load your sponge. So we've taken our little half sponge. I did this video before and then it was all out of frame, so I've had to redo it. So we're going to take this half sponge and I'm going to take this gorgeous rose gold from Superstar, and what you do is you take your spritz bottle, 2 spritzes on the sponge, 2 spritzes on the cake, stroke the sponge over the cake. Sorry if you can hear any background noises, it's the baby monitor. And you can see you've got a nice coating on the sponge, and then you're gonna, so you've got nice, because you cut it in half, you can hold it a lot easier, it fits in the hand a lot easier, and you just pounce the sponge, you just dab dab dab, not to steal Christine from Simply No Logical's term there, but it's true, you dab dab dab, and as you can see you get quite a strong colour payoff there. I hope you can see that properly. If you want to soften it at all, you can flip it over and use, if you pinch the sponge together like a little Pac-Man, and you've got a dry bit on the back, and then you just bob that around the edges and you can feather it out, and that works really nicely on this particular colour as well, this rose gold colour, because this is a nice colour to put on cheeks for little kiddies, to give them a little bit of a, especially at Christmas, because it's got lots of glitter in it. So if I put that on there like that, it's quite strong. And we can just soften it out, and as we soften it out, all the glitter comes through. Real favourite of mine for backgrounds, this one. If you want to mix colours, for example, you don't have your own split cakes, you want to mix colours, then it's really simple. I've got Superstar Gold and Superstar Rose Gold there, so spritz that cake, and again you're just going to spritz, just going to stroke that across the cake like that, stroke that across the cake there. These are both got glitter in, these ones, and again you just pounce the colour on like that, flip the sponge over in your hands. This will take some practice to be able to do this without dropping the sponges everywhere. Pounce the colour next to each other, and then again you flip it over, pinch it in the middle, and then you can just pounce up the join there, and it will blend the two together, and you get a nice blend. Very useful if you don't have split cakes, or if you're a bit scared of the thought of split cakes. Right, very basic line work. You're going to be using, I'm going to use my Diamond DFX Black so it shows up nicely on here. So your number 3s, wet your brush, not too much, not so it's sopping. 1 spritz in your cake like that. Mix it in. If you're using a brand new, I'll do a video actually on activating a brand new paint. That might be useful because I've just bought my brand new black and white. I will show you how to activate a brand new paint. This takes a little less work, this one, because obviously it's been used. And then what I'm doing is after I mixed it in, I'm then twisting it. You can see the brush is, I'll try and do it slowly. The brush is twisting, and then what you get there is you get a nice point. You get the point back. So even with a number 3, you can get a various line width. So you want to go from, what you want to practice basically is getting the different widths and a nice clean line. So tiger stripes are a good one to practice because they go thin, thick, thin. So we're going to stay on the very point, very little pressure, ooh, wibbly, push down, and then come up. And these boards are really good, but they're a bit different to painting on skin, so you sometimes need a slightly wetter paint. That's why it went feathery at the end. So you're going to go thin, push down, and then thin. And there you go. So that's a sort of good one to practice because it means you've got to have a lot of control over the brush. I'll do one more. Thin, push down, thick. Oh, and I lost the tail again there. Again, like I say, it's because it's a bit different painting on these, painting on skin. I'll show you with the number 4 as well, because you can see then the difference in the thickness that you can get, and why you really don't need more than these 2 brushes to start you off. Thin, thick, thin, and it's all pressure. So all you're doing is starting on the tip with very little pressure, pushing down to the barrel of the brush, and then pulling up to very little pressure. So you can see the difference that you can get between a 3 and a 4. Another useful one to do is dots, which are great for filling in dead space and adding texture to animal prints such as tiger patterns. So you want nice wet creamy paint. Load the brush up and then you just dab. If you have not got enough paint, or the paint is not creamy enough, you won't get clean dots. What you'll get is funny little weird shapes. You want it to be enough to keep the brush to hold its shape, and you can see you can get nice different shapes, which is great to add the texture in between the tiger stripes. And then probably the other best one to practice is doing the opposite to what I've just done with the tiger stripes, which is a teardrop. So for a teardrop, you're going to start off thick and then bring the pressure up. Ooh. I moved the board at the same time then, so that didn't come up very clean. Thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. And I can always do them really nicely one way, and then it's really hard to get them to go the other way. So that's always worth practicing as well. See, that's already gone feathery. It's always squiffily going one way. And I'm doing it flat when I wouldn't normally. So there's some things to get you started. Sponge technique, getting used to how you hold the sponge and manipulate the sponge so you can practice bending and blending. Some basic strokes, so tiger stripes are a good one to practice, so they're staying very much on the point of that brush, thin to thick, thin to thick. Some dots to practice your paint consistency, and some teardrops because they're a must-have. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll link everything that I've used in the box below, and I will be back with some flowers.